Joanna Small, Public Affairs and Communications Manager for the Lynnwood Police Department. It's Friday, October 15th, and this is your LPD Video Week in Review. Here's a summary of the most notable incidents your officers responded to this past week or so. On October 8th, officers were dispatched to reports of a break-in at Share Tea on Alderwood Mall Parkway. The front bottom window of the business was shattered, and the store owner told us that while he does have a video surveillance system, the cable for the recorder had been cut and the CCTV recorder had actually been stolen. A few days later, it was found stuffed inside a microwave. More than $1,000 was stolen from the cash register and the employee tip jar. While one of our crime scene technicians dusted for fingerprints, there were none that could be taken for analysis. In the mix of the shattered glass from the front window, an employee recovered what appeared to be a bullet casing. If you know anything about this crime, call the number that's on your screen. Officers responded to another business burglary just a few days earlier on October 6th. This time, the victim business was the Little Caesars on 196th Street Southwest. When officers arrived, they found a broken glass window and a window frame that had been shifted out of alignment. Inside, the owner discovered his safe had been damaged and forced open. The safe itself was valued at several $1,000s, and the suspect stole the cash inside it. A vendor had made a delivery to the store earlier that evening and saw a man, presumably the suspect, working on something behind the counter. The suspect told the vendor there had been a break-in, but by the time the vendor made his delivery in the back and returned to the front of the store, the suspect was gone. All of this was captured on surveillance footage. The suspect is seen leaving the scene in a white or cream-colored 1980s model Volkswagen Golf. If you know anything about this crime, call the number on your screen. On October 5th, officers were dispatched to a weapons call at the Homewood Suites on Alderwood Mall Parkway. The manager told us that a cleaning crew discovered a shotgun underneath a mattress in one of the hotel rooms. The manager provided officers with the name of the person who rented the room and a description of that person, which matched the DOL photo we found. We then discovered he is a felon convicted for unlawful possession of a firearm and is a known member of a violent gang. The firearm was taken to our evidence facility. On October 4th, a loss prevention employee at the Lynnwood Macy's was scratched and bitten by a woman he was attempting to stop from stealing thousands of dollars worth of merchandise. The woman was with a man who had stolen from the store earlier that day. They also had a young child with them who witnessed the entire theft and altercation. Through surveillance footage, our officers were able to get the license plate of the vehicle they fled the scene in and determine the suspects were also the registered owners of the vehicle. It turns out one had a protection order against the other that also included that child. They'll be cited for violation of that order, and both suspects will be cited for theft. On October 3rd, officers responded to a theft call at the Lynnwood Fred Meyer that went a little differently due to new Washington state laws that prevent officers from using any kind of force to detain a suspect when only reasonable suspicion and not probable cause has been established. We were contacted by the store's loss prevention employee who described the suspect who was stealing items in a black duffel bag, and one of our officers immediately spotted that person leaving the scene. But that's not probable cause yet, so our officer asked the suspect to stop, and when he refused and ran, we could only follow him at a distance. Eventually, the suspect started running into traffic, which made the foot chase too dangerous to continue. Fortunately, other officers had worked to establish probable cause in the meantime and were able to catch up to the suspect and handcuff him. It turns out he had 3 warrants related to domestic violence and driving with a suspended license. He was arrested for those warrants, as well as theft and obstruction of a law enforcement officer for fleeing the scene of the crime. And finally, on October 11th and 12th, windows at 2 Lynnwood businesses were shot out with what appeared to be small metal ball bearings, possibly from something like a slingshot. The targets were a bank and a pharmacy. Employees at both found the outside panes of glass shattered in a small round hole, but the inside panes were still intact. A small metal ball bearing was discovered in a parking lot near the bank, where 2 of the windows were shattered. Damages are several $1,000s at just the bank alone. That's all for now. We'll see you next time.